Hey guys, and welcome to another GeoGuessr video. Today, I'm finally going to try to get a perfect score on a diverse world. Believe it or not, I've never actually 25k'd ADW before. I've gotten 24977. That was on a Reddit League challenge, I think, where the timer was 3 minutes per round. So just a one-off game where I got a really good score, but I've never actually tried to 25k before. So I attempted this for quite a while, trying to get a good seed going. I finally got one and ended up getting a perfect score. This was a roller coaster of a seed, so I'm gonna walk you guys through each of the 5 rounds. I also recorded this run using Facecam. 75% of you guys said I should try it out in my recent poll, so I figured might as well try it out today. Okay, with all that said, let's get started on this ridiculously stressful run and play it back. Here we go. Round number 1 dropped us into Poland, I could tell from the bollard there, so that was a nice surprise to get. Poland usually has really good signs, especially for speedrunning, so I was feeling optimistic about this run to start. I flew past one of those green signs there, decided to head back to it. I'd just gone really far past, so it took me a second to get back there. But it was pointing out that city. I'm not going to even try to pronounce it. 21 kilometers to the south. I had heard of it. I wasn't sure how big or small it is. It is actually a pretty big city, but I just didn't bother scanning the map because I wasn't too sure of what it was. Saw that sign there telling us that we were leaving that town starting with an N, and this road sign was even better, pointing out Lublin, which I'd for sure heard of, so I was able to figure out where we were there. And then I just checked on the name of that town once again, went onto the map to try and find it. Took me a second, but I did find it in the end scanning, so we were going to be somewhere around there. I went back to the start to get my bearings, saw that we were at this sort of 4-way intersection where the road was heading slightly more northeast, and then I went over this way, had the similar sort of signs there, but also one pointing out another town that we were leaving there, starting with a T. So that was going to be that one, just a little bit farther north there. And so I was able to figure out we were at that intersection. So a nice, pretty fast one there, 1:11, not bad at all. Second round here put us in France based on architecture and the language, so we were actually in a city here, which was pretty good. So I just had to keep on moving and try and find some French road signs. French signs are not nearly as good as Polish ones, unfortunately, and in this round I was getting some camera glitches because I was just moving too fast and everything was getting all messed up. But that's on me for sure. So I was just keeping on moving through this city in France, trying to find some clues. Eventually there I spotted some more road signs, but I got the camera glitch again. So I had to go back a little bit, and then I was able to make my way back to them there. So we had the sign there for the airport. I thought the name of the airport was Marignac, but turns out that was not the case, as you're going to see there. But I also saw the sign for Bordeaux Lac, which I assumed was going to probably put us in Bordeaux. So I zoomed into Bordeaux here, checking on the airport. I didn't see any name for it there, but then I saw Marignac was just a suburb to the west. So then I clicked on Bordeaux, got the street name there, and then the other one to get my bearings. Interesting name here, Boulevard President Wilson. I wasn't expecting that, but I spotted the République Street there, and then Wilson as well, pretty fast, which was lucky. Went back to the start to figure out where we had actually come from, and then thankfully we had another small intersection here. So the street here was Rue Judique and L'Aliment, so I was able to zoom in and find those relatively painlessly, at least Judique at first. Took me a second to find the other one there, but when I did find it, it was not too bad of a pinpoint at all. And so that was round number 2 done with just under 3 minutes there. Getting into round 3, this was unexpected. We actually ended up on Christmas Island. We had car meta there that let me know that. So I was a little bit concerned I wouldn't be able to 5k here. Movement is kind of slow in Christmas Islands, as you see here, and there's really just nothing on this island to really pinpoint with. So it was going to come down to using the road orientation and just sort of small little clues like that to figure out where I was. In hindsight, I could have probably figured this out a little bit faster, because there aren't that many roads on the island itself. But I had found one that looked pretty good. I just had to make sure that the road did the right things. So I had to keep on moving to the southeast to see if it was going to curve back going due east, like it did on the map. But the movement here is so slow, so it definitely cost me a few extra seconds trying to figure this out for sure. But you can see that the road did start to curve. I was a little bit worried about this round, as you can probably tell from my facial expressions throughout this. But the road did start to curve to the east there pretty solidly, so went back to the map to double check. It definitely did that there. So back at the start, we had that little road off to the side there, which I assumed was that one right there. So I just had to go for it, and thankfully it was there. I was really happy. Round 4 dropped us in South Africa, another really good speedrunning country to get. South Africa has great road signs, kind of like Poland, where they usually have the road number or just notable towns and things to be able to figure out where you are with. So that one there was not super useful, of course, but I kept on moving to the southeast. It looked very deserty, so I was thinking we're going to be out west, maybe closer to Namibia. So I just had to keep on moving and try and find some signs. I flew past one there. I'm glad I caught it because it was very useful. Showed that we were going to be on the N7 to the north of that city that started with a V. I actually didn't catch what it was there. Van Rinsdorp, I think. So then I found the N7 out there in the west, and then saw the city there too. So being about 30 kilometers away would put us somewhere about there. So I figured, after moving for a little bit, I figured going back to the start and just seeing what we had to start would be the best way to figure this out. I didn't know what that thing was next to us, but I thought maybe it would be a landmark that would show up. So I zoomed into the map. We were heading slightly more northwest here. Now here I was checking what the road did more to the northwest. It did not curve like it did on the map there, so it couldn't have been that first junction. Then I spotted this one, went back to the start, and then that road off to our east did curve around a little bit, and it definitely looked like the best option there. So in the end, I decided to go for it, and thankfully it was there. Now round 5. Round 5 is an absolute disastrous roller coaster of a round. We ended up on this tiny little road in what looked like New Zealand. It was absolutely in the middle of nowhere, as you're going to see. I went generally north to start, which was not the best choice. This was a very beautiful scenic round. I mean, at least it was enjoyable to wander through the New Zealand countryside for a bit. But in terms of speedrunning, this was killing me, because I had such a good time going, at least for my standards. I had a 5:24 going, so I was really hoping that the last round would be gettable in a short time, but it just was not at all. So kept on going north, hoping eventually we would jump out onto a more main road, but then I hit a dead end there, which was great. So I had to go back to the start. I lost time here doing this too. I forgot which way I had gone and decided to go the same way I had already tried, which was really stupid. In the end, I caught myself after a little bit and went back to the start. But yeah, I did waste a little bit of time doing that. So then I started going to the south. This was, of course, the right direction to go in the end, but we were just so isolated from anything, really. We were about as far away from things as you can get here, which was just the worst for speedrunning. But since it was the last round, I had to keep this up. This is going to take a long time. There's not really even going to be much for me to say here, so I'm just going to put on some music when we get to the more interesting parts after I make it off this dirt road. I will see you guys in a couple minutes. So here I just made it to this street sign there. I got that it was Waikakaho Road or something to that effect, which was good. I needed that to figure out the road that we'd actually started on. So knowing that, I kept on moving. So let's get back to the music, because again, it still took me a long time to get to anything even remotely useful here. So back to the music. So at this point, the coverage had started to get more out of the mountains and into more open spaces, which was a good sign for me. I was thinking maybe we were getting closer to a town or a major road or something, because of course roads are more likely to pass through flatland. So I was feeling a little bit better, but still we were coming up on the 10-minute mark and I still had just absolutely nothing to use. Then I saw this street sign here, which said Kaituna Tuamarina Road. Apologies for butchering those names, of course. I figured those would be two different towns that we were between. I hadn't heard of them. I was looking on the northern part of the South Island. That's what this sort of landscape looked like to me. I wasn't sure how big those places would be, of course, and I wasn't really seeing them around, so after looking for a second and not seeing them, I decided to just keep on moving here. I also checked a little bit of the South Island too, but didn't see much. So in the end, I kept on moving. We actually came across one frame of Gen 1 coverage there, the blurry cam, which was really interesting. I thought I was doomed at that point, but then we popped out onto this larger highway, which was very reassuring, and got that we were about to head into the town of Tuamarina there. So kept on going south, looking for road numbers or anything to point us out to bigger places that I'd be able to pinpoint with. I also saw this little turnoff here by the tracks for the town of Rarangi, I think. Yeah, there we go. Again, hadn't heard of that, probably was going to be a small place. So I just had to keep on moving south and get some more clues. Here we made it to a pretty large body of water. I thought that might be a good sort of landmark to look for. So I was scanning a little bit more of the North Island, the North Island here too. Just wasn't seeing any of those towns. I was hoping maybe they would be visible, but yeah, just wasn't seeing them. And it was going to take me too long to zoom in all the way and scan, so... after briefly scanning the whole rest of New Zealand, decided it was time to probably keep on moving. And finally, after so long of scanning for things, I finally came across this sign with actual large cities that I'd heard of. So it was going to be on the north part of the South Island like I thought. We had the city of Nelson there pointed out. So we were going to be on the one somewhere north of Blenheim there. Again, apologies if I'm butchering these names, but I was just taking a little bit too long. The run was already just completely scuffed at this point. But I'd found that one road, the Kaituna or whatever road, and then I had to find the Waikakoha Road. I think that's what it was. Something to that effect that we started on. That was going to be the one. And now it was still even a tricky process to pinpoint on this road, because we were just on this tiny little dirt road. We could see that the river was to the east of us, and then we had that sort of road branching off there to our west. So I had to find something like that along the river. I thought it might have been an unmarked driveway, which I was a little bit worried about. I went to the south here to see what happened to the river, and it actually split away from us for a little bit here. You can see that it's not right next to the road anymore when you go south, so that was a good thing to keep in mind. And then going north, you could see that the road was more or less heading the same direction there too, so that was useful for me to figure out our general area, put me more right there where we had that little turnoff. I just had to triple check that everything lined up properly. Went down to look at the exact bottom of the road to see if it lined up. It lined up very well, so in the end, I was happy guessing there. Final time on live split, 12:56. You can see there that round 4 was finished after only 5 minutes, 24 seconds, so it took us well over 7 minutes just to get that one round in New Zealand. Absolutely painful, but I was very happy to finally get this round done. Ended up with my first ever 25k on a Diver's World in just under 13 minutes. But overall, pretty proud of this run, especially the first 4 rounds. I'm really happy with it, so if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like down below. I will definitely be trying ADW speedruns again in the future, trying to make up for that horrible New Zealand round and hopefully get sub 10 or better. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching and have a good one.